Click that link and join us Wednesday, January 7th, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Join us live and bring smart questions. We're going to do an extended Q&A. Click that link and join us. It really stands out to me, the easiest thing that you guys could do, the easiest thing, the lowest hanging fruit in the universe is to just show up consistently without an excuse ever. Just to show up consistently. The number one thing you could do to ensure your success. I don't think is there anything else that's more important than that? There's 20 other things, okay? But how about just show up consistently?
The second important is probably showing up with a plan of how to get yourself better. But showing up's number one.
First, get there.
Get there.
And then while you're there, say, exactly. I'm here. Now I should develop a plan.
Yeah, instead of just randomly doing shit. Those are the two most important things. But getting there is the most important because it doesn't matter if you have a plan if you don't get there. Some guys have all these detailed plans, but they don't show up. Yep. The guy that shows up with no plans is going to get better than the guy that has a plan that doesn't show up.
True. And I say there's never been a time in history. When in history was it more convenient to travel than now?
Easy. It's so easy. There's planes everywhere to hop on every hour.
I just came back from Europe less than 48 hours ago. I landed, and then I met you, and we were training for hours.
Yeah, we trained all night, and both people would be like, "Oh, I'm tired, jet lag." Jet lag's not even real. It's just in your mind.
It is.
It's maybe partially real, but not really.
I saw this study. You want to think about endurance, okay? I saw this study recently. It's from 1957, 1959, 1957, I think. And they did this experiment with rats. And they took some basic lab rats, okay? And they put them in water. And they see how long can the rat swim, before it gives up and drowns. And, the answer is about 15 minutes. A rat can swim for about 15 minutes. And then it just gives up. And then it just kind of tips backwards and sinks, and that's the end of it. If you take the rat, at that moment of failure, if you take the rat out of the water and squish it a little bit and get the water out of its lungs, dry it off,
give it
a few minutes to rest, okay? And then you put the rat, just a couple minutes, you can dry it off, get him moving again, okay? 5 minutes later, they put the rat back in the water. How long do you think the rat can swim? He's already been exhausted from swimming the 15 minutes.
Probably longer than the 15 minutes. The readjustment probably
because of that hope that you mentioned, they say the rat will swim 60 hours.
Wow.
60 hours, 2.5 days.
They had no hope after the first time.
Yep.
And the hope.
Yep, 60 hours. It go from 15 minutes to a 240x performance. 60 hours is 240 times, not 240%, 240x, 24,000% more, because it had hope that
hope that maybe if it kept going, it could be pulled out. Yeah.
60 hours.
Yeah, when you have no hope, you give up.
So, the people that give up before they even come do the thing is I don't know, man. It's just your life. It's nothing important. It's just your life. It's just your life. If it's not important to you, it can't be important to me either. And, I had this frustration, and I think if you think you've shared this frustration at times, that you've talked about times when you're managing gyms or you were kind of the leader of the gym and everybody looked up to you and because you're a world champion and you're there every day and getting shit done. And I had this, I have this mental illness that sometimes I'm so stupid that I care about their success more than they care about their success.
Yeah, and that's what I've realized. You can't care about someone's success more than I am. But I'm also, when I run a gym, I run it very harsh. If there's people that aren't following the rules, that are causing problems, I kick them out. Even if they're good, people are always shocked that I kick out someone fighting in the UFC. But it's this guy's not following the full workout. He's being a detriment to the team.
Yeah. Yeah, I've talked with different coaches. Sometimes guys want to show up, professional fighters, they want to show up and do their fight camp at a particular gym. But they don't want to be there to help somebody else with their fight camp, They want to come and go. So I'm going to show up for a couple months, 2-3 months, show up for 8 weeks and do my fight camp there, and then they're going to bounce afterwards, and they don't want to contribute to the culture. And even some of the top gyms, they won't accept that anymore. They're just like, no, you're going to be here all year, and you're going to train with us all year. And if we're going to help you with your fight camp, then you're going to help other guys with their fight camp too. And if you don't want to do that, go off.
Yeah, that's where I was. I would help guys out my fight camp. They wouldn't help me. I'd be like, right, you, I'm done with this person. You
mentioned before, this always stuck in my head, that for more than 20 years, I think, you were friends with Nick and Nate Diaz, friends with Gilbert Melendez. And, the four of you came up together, training together, and all four became world champions in various organizations.
And none of us had very much coaching, but we all helped each other. When one of us had a camp, we all were always there. And it's so rare to have that. Because like you said, some people are selfish. I was just so fortunate to have four people that were all dedicated. We didn't know shit. We were young, punk kids with no money, but we all decided we'd be world champions, and we meant it. And we put in that just crazy full pace. And we were all there to help each other. I would fight, and I would be there to help Nick. Nick would fight, he'd be there to help me, vice versa, so we pushed each other to greatness.
Yeah. Holidays. What about working on holidays? How do you feel about holidays?
Of course we work out on holidays. Why would I not work out on Christmas? Why would I not work on my birthday? Why would I not work out on Thanksgiving? Doesn't make any sense.
You're on the schedule to be here for your birthday.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, we spent, I remember there's one particular Thanksgiving, a couple Thanksgivings we were together because that's just how the schedule worked out. And I remember there was a Thanksgiving that you and I were being a little rough in the training room that afternoon, and you were choking the shit out of me, and I didn't want to tap, and I was fighting, and I made a really stupid mistake of opening my teeth inside my mouth because there was a lot of pressure on my jaw. That was very dumb. And then you're pushing on here with your arm, and it's kind of rubbing against, and I feel the inside of my mouth. I can taste the blood and feel the inside of my cheek is getting ripped up on my teeth. And I was like, well, I'm already bleeding. I might as well keep fighting.
Right.
And eventually I got out of the position, and we had a little tussle. And I think I bumped your nose with my head somehow. And we're sitting there on Thanksgiving afternoon, and your nose was bleeding, and my mouth was bleeding. Yeah. And we were just having a conversation like normal, We're just talking like normal. And I didn't even think anything of it at the time, but in the aftermath, I thought about it. I'm like, this is not how other people are spending Thanksgiving.
Yeah, fighters get so used to that. I remember like the first 6 months, you're training, you accidentally whack one of us or something, a little blood. You'd be like, oh, sorry. And it's like, Derek, we trained kind of rough. Now you're used to it, but in the beginning, you're like, oh, shit, I elbowed someone. And we're just like barely noticed because professional fighters are very rough. Right from the very beginning, you were training with these guys who were rough people.
Well, when I see my friend's face bleeding, usually you say, oh, sorry.
Yeah, but in fighting, we're just like, whatever.
I looked in the mirror last night. I didn't notice I had a little scratch on my cheek. It's nothing. It's a fingernail or something caught me when you were trying to choke me. And so I looked in the mirror last night when I was getting ready for bed and brushing my teeth and stuff. And I said, oh, I got blood on my face. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's just normal now, And I don't know. I think that, you just got to show up, and you got to toughen up and get used to things. And the people that, if you value your excuses, and there'll be a couple people on this call that are the couple people that are not going to show up for the program this weekend. And I'm like, wow, you like your excuses more than your goals. And somewhere in their head, when I say that, they're going, Derek, you don't understand. You don't understand. No, I don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah.
I've never had an excuse not to come here. Think that I don't shit going on in my life.
Yeah, I don't know who the hell is a lot busier than me or you. I don't know who's so much busier or have so many other things going on. It would never occur to me that I wouldn't show up. It would never occur to me. Like even the clients know it. I never missed a day of an event. I never ever missed a day. I never missed one. I had 104 fever and I still showed up. I had terrible migraine headaches. I had strep throat. I had every problem. A guy attacked me on the street one time and tried to take my wallet. That didn't work out well for him. But, I had 2 broken teeth. I had my lip was up here. I got, a centimeter scar on my lip here from it. My ankle was up for a year. I still hobbled my ass and went and met the clients for the rest of the program, So I don't understand this culture. I very much disrespect it. I think I think it's disgusting, honestly. I don't think there's any excuse that if I give my word to do something, that I have to do it. I just do it. I have to do it. There's no excuse. There's nothing that would happen. There's nothing that would happen that would be like, oh, I can't. I guess I'd have to be like, have some terrible surgery, like some terrible accident where I physically couldn't do the thing.
Well, with me, even if there's someone that adds no value to my life, I told them I'm going to do something, I'll do it. There's been times I'm like, fuck, why'd I agree to do this? But I agreed to do it, so I do it.
Yep. I think that's important as well. Because
just always keep your word.
As soon as you start breaking your word, as soon as you stop that consistency, then you start yourself in other places.
Yeah, so I always keep my word regardless to who it is. But I'd also say don't tell a bunch of random people you're going to do a bunch of shit that you don't want to do. People make the mistake of just saying yes to everything. It's like, think about, can I realistically do this? But once I say yes to something, I'm doing it.
Warren Buffett said, and I love this, and I've adopted it myself. He said you have to say no to 99 things for every one thing that you say yes to. So you should say 99 no's for every one yes. And, when people ask me to do something, I have to ask myself, is this the best use of my time? And if the answer is not a clear yes, then I just don't agree to do it. I don't pretend to, like, oh, yeah, maybe. Hey, follow up with me later. No, don't follow up with me later. If it's not the best use of my time, I just say, no, I can't make that a priority. No, I can't do that. And I really think somebody's a dumb when they request that I do something and they don't communicate, why is that in my best interest? Why might that be the best use of my time? So when I get these requests of like, hey bro, come to my random gym in South Carolina.
Pitch how that's going to benefit you. Or the worst one I get is when people ask me, can I ask you a question? We get so many messages. If they ask me a question, I'm just not going to respond. If they ask me a good question, I might respond.
Totally agree. In the DMs, you guys don't understand the number of messages that come in.
And we can't keep up with them all.
No, it's not
possible. If I see, can I ask you a question? I'm just going to I'm just not going to respond. But if someone asks an interesting question, I might respond.
Hey, brother. Hey, bro. And there's messages like that. It's just, hey, bro. It's like, okay, now what is the value add there that I want to respond to this person?
Nothing.
There's nothing. There's no more information that I need. I just, okay.
Yeah, hey, bro.
Hey, bro.
Like you're supposed to respond to that.
Like, share, and repost, sir.
And send me some money.
Why would I do that? Yeah, you know what? Every fall this happens is the iPhone gets released. And then people ask me, will you buy me an iPhone, please? Like, I don't know, like, are you trying to be my girlfriend? What kind of man is asking you for money like that? It's like, sometimes when my girlfriend's really sweet to me and, is very feminine and does sweet things that I like, takes good care of me, yeah, I'd like to buy her nice treats. I like to buy nice treats for my girlfriend. Is dude asking to be my girlfriend? You going to do nice things and be sweet to me, bro?
Yeah.
What do you want?
There's nothing more humiliating than a grown man asking another man for money. It's just, I don't know how these guys have the audacity to do that. I'd be so ashamed.
There's a culture now where I've learned to never to respond to these ever, but because there's just an idiocy. But there's a culture now where if a young guy asks you for something, and if you try to actually help them, and say, hey man, next time you write somebody, instead of destroying any future relationship like you just did, tell the person why it's in their best interest to do what you're asking them to do. And he's like, hey bro, I'm just shooting my shot, man. If I don't ask, I don't get. And I'm like,
well, you're still asking and you're not getting still.
You don't understand. Like, you just burned a relationship that, like, I can never look at that person the same. They don't understand the damage that they've done. They're just like, oh, if I just ask 100 people, somebody will do something for me. And like, no, if I wrote 100 people, 98 of them will do something for me. That's true. Because I'll ask them in a way that it's in their best interest that they would do the thing.
Mm-hmm. And you built relationships where if you ask something, people do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I write somebody and ask for something, 98 of them will do it, even strangers, because I'm not going to ask them to do something that's not in their best interest. I'm going to make clear to them that why it would be, how is it going to benefit them? Why might it be the best use of their time? And, they're at least going to respond back. And many times they're going to do exactly what I asked,
Friendships and relationships should always be beneficial to both people. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't just be, one person taking up the other person. It's like you should both benefit. Now, obviously, it's different in situations, but there should always be ways to benefit each other.
Yeah, the foundation for any lasting friendship has to be mutually beneficial. The people have to have similar values and similar goals and differentiated skill sets. If one of those three things is missing, you're not going to have a long-term friendship.
This is Derek Moneyberg. I quit my last job when I was just 19 years old. I thought to myself, a life where I have to ask for permission to take a day off. I have to ask for permission to take a longer lunch break. It wasn't for me. This is something that like a child does, or a very weak-minded man perhaps. I want you to have that same sort of financial freedom in your life. You could live like an adult. You know, what does that require? Well, it does require some hard work. It does require a good education so you know you're making the right decisions. Jake, when's the last time you had somebody bossing you around telling you when you can eat and use the toilet?
Also, when I was 19 is what's funny. And like, if you take these things for granted, I couldn't imagine going back and asking someone for time off or if I can do this. It's just the freedom is one of those things you take for granted when you have it. You see your friends like, oh, do you want to fly to London to me next week? Oh, you have to ask my boss. I was like, wait, you can't just make your own decisions. So you take for granted, but it feels so good to work for yourself. But I would like to add, it is hard work still. You have to have discipline and be able to work hard. So I wouldn't tell you, to just quit without a plan of working hard.
Funny enough, I don't take a lot of days off. But the reason that is, I really enjoy how I spend my time.
I have to work 7 days a week, but it's nice when you're working for yourself and you get rewarded for it.
Yeah, when you're well rewarded for doing things that you enjoy doing, it doesn't feel like work anymore. So I do have a lot of productive hours, but it doesn't feel like work anymore.
100%. I could put in a lot of hours, but it doesn't feel like it because it's doing work for myself. And I choose now. I'm in a situation where I can choose the work I want to do and who I want to work with, which is very big. I'm very careful who I work with, like us working together. I get along great, so we continue to work together.
Easy for you and I. Could be easy for you as well. If you want to learn to have more freedom in your lifetime, control of your time, control of having higher quality options instead of lower quality options, because you have the social skills, the intellectual skills, and the financial wherewithal to do what you want. Jake and I are going to do a live training. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to do hard work. If you're turned off by that, hey, success is not for everybody, and it's definitely not for you. But if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to work smart, we're going to be able to teach you a lot and point you in the right direction. If you have any specific questions about how to attain your ideal lifestyle, we're going to answer those questions for you on that live training.
Click that link and join us Wednesday, January 7th, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Join us live and bring smart questions. We're going to do an extended Q&A. Click that link and join us.